Hi, hello everyone. Welcome back to the ConnecTree Podcast. I hope you're doing well. So, this is episode number 5 of the ConnecTree Podcast. Today, we're going to talk about failures because this month we have chosen the theme as failures because there are multiple reasons and why not failures, right? So, it's one of such an amazing topic to basically discuss a lot of things on. 3 co hosts today, including me, Rizwan, Azhar, we have Asnata. So, what is the first thing that comes to your mind when it comes to the failure? Or what is the reason, again we had a discussion to choose the topic as failure, so why is that you said okay to choose failure as a topic for this month?
Okay, for me, failure is very important in our life because nothing more than failure that teaches us a lot of things in our life. No, not a success, anything will teach you, or not anything will guide you to a particular point that you learn a lot of things, and that will redefine your life. And to it's something like refining your life from all sort of negativities and how to handle that particular thing. eh, we will learn in that particular journey, only in that particular journey. When you are continuously meeting success and continuously having success in our life, eh, I think there is no room for learning or no room for retrospection in our life. That's why failure is very essential. And also I just want to mention that meeting failure or having failure uh, in the young phase or the young age is very important to mold your life, or to mold how to how to be in this world is very important.
Yeah.
That's
So
why failure is so important for me.
yeah, awesome. So what is it about you, like Asnata? What does failure mean to you?
Sometimes we can relate that to gooseberries. Like old age people always say, like gooseberry always sour in taste first, and that will give us sweetness later. Like that, whenever we get a bitterness of failure, after that you will try to achieve something, or you will try to recover that phase, and the sweetness after getting that is something much important. And I think everyone will go through that phase, the bitterness of that failure, and again it will end up into the sweetness of success. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's such a great analogy, actually.
That's very good.
Every time, I think it's natural. When I can say that, when we go through some bad phase, or like when we fail at something, it's the first instinct. Okay, why this? Why me? Why this happened and all that. But later on, we'll also realize, right? Ah, okay, this is something that I've learned from that phase, or maybe through like a some maybe like a loss of something, maybe like a loss of person, or like a breakup or loss of a job or something. But it is in that phase that we become more aware of ourselves, isn't it? So that is one thing I've understood about failure, is that every time I fail at something, it is only then we kind of look into things, right? If we win, it's like, okay, we won, chalo, like let's enjoy this and all that. But when you fail, it is then like you become alert. Okay, something is wrong, or something, I made some mistake, let me look back at it. So that is where, again, like the point you said, like Azhar said, and as well like Asnatha said, like, it's like connecting, right? So it's a point, I think failure makes us understand more about ourselves, can we say that?
For me, failure makes us so grounded. Same. It's same meaning. We understand ourselves much better, and also failure help us to find a path or find a different part of our soul that we didn't know till that date. Okay, even I can there is something, there is this fear that everybody has having, that about failure. Okay, once you going through that particular thing, no, you will be a different person after coming out of that particular thing. So that's as Asnata said, that's a very sweet part of failure. Yeah, going through that part is a very bitter experience, or you'll have to sacrifice a lot. You have to sacrifice your mental health, all sort of your physical, mental, everything is involved, and everything is draining throughout the day. But once you come out of that particular thing, no, you will be entirely a different person. It's depending upon the gravity of the failure you're going through.
Yeah, that's very true. Like for like I think most of the people will not know. We actually recorded this episode earlier
Mm.
about failure,
Mm.
but that episode was a failure. Again, we even like
Yeah.
spoke about creating a meme. Okay, like episode on failure was a failure and all that. So in that we discussed something like it is very important to basically go through failure in the early part of our life or anyone's life, because that will help us be prepared in the future, or like that will make us be prepared to to fight something else, right? So the question that I want to ask is basically, how much of the failures you had in your past have helped you look into future? I'm not saying what you're right now, look into future much better and with more courage.
Like I want to say, like a diamond, no, it is not directly digging from the earth. You can know that it undergoes for a load of metamorphism periods and a load of process, and it is coming out as a shiny valuable diamond, right? So like that, whenever we are going through this failures, it will let us go through this metamorphism period. Like we will find our qualities from ourselves. Like if I do this much better, next time I will not fail. Like that, it will teach load of lessons, and makes us sharpen in that point, and it let us find our qualities gradually, with or without letting us know too. It will make us better and better. And yeah, obviously in future we will be a diamond again. How much failures you are going through, that will make a shiny part of us, I think so.
There is something I always look upon. It is not a negative thing I want to put out. Actually, when we met, success is a very subjective thing. For a success for you is not success for me. The definition for success. So there is, even if you're in the epitome of success, you felt that there is something I need to correct in that particular thing, or there is something more I want to achieve. So for you, if you analyze that success, no, it's not a complete success. You can tell it as a you failed better.
Hmm.
So every success is a better failure for me. So in a good note, very good note to uh, achieve more thing. So we can't achieve 100% success and all sort of things. That it's something like, okay, the contentment part is very important as a important part associated to that term. And also, if you fail better, it's okay. It will give some more hope to work on. I use fail better as a word in my life, okay, because I need to work more on that particular thing. Or else, if I hit by the epitome or enjoyment of success, or the negative part of success, I am as a person will not grow beyond that particular point. I will be in that particular box. So that's the interesting thing about failure. So failing better is a very good term we can associate in our life. That's what I think about. I don't want to put it in a negative way. Disclaimer associated to this statement.
Yeah, there is this one thing which I've always found, and again curious, because again, we have heard the story of Edison failing 1,000 times, or like Wright brothers failing like 100 times and all that. But what I even find it more interesting is basically, even after Edison found the bulb, I think Edison
Mm,
didn't even stop after finding that invention. He was again curious even enough to improve that further. And I think that mindset only came because of his 1,000 failures. That is, suppose
true.
let's say, we see this, one hit wonders, like as we say, right? First time
Mm,
success and all that. But I still believe that doesn't happen. But still, people who find winning in the beginning itself, like the first attempt itself, I think that limits them from exploring that even better. Like as I said in the beginning itself, like winning. If we win, it's just that, right? But if suppose let's say the
mm,
same thing you're doing, suppose you are like creating a car, okay, just an example, and you fail like 10 times, 15 times, and the 16th time you win, okay, but still
mm,
your focus might not be on winning. Okay, this is what I've understood from my failures
mm,
as well. Like your focus is not
mm,
on winning. You've already failed 15 times, that weighs more than the winning. Yes, winning will bring some like good feelings. But even if you win the 16th time, the next thought you have is like, okay, the 17th time I want the 16th time to be even better, like better than the 16th time. So you make more failures. I think that mindset to improve that further only comes from the failures, to explore more.
Mhm. Yeah, that's what I am telling. Okay, Wright brothers invented aeroplane for the first time, but when we look on that particular invention, it's only the two people can fly on that particular aeroplane, but the idea was implemented by them. So if you retrospect, or if you analyze that particular invention is a complete invention or a complete success, it's not. But but they have invented the idea. So there is a lot of thing that we can okay, success has something associated with this, it's burden. Okay, repeating success is very tiring thing. So there are a lot of people who are already succeed in life, they want to repeat that success. Maybe there is some sort of slight improvement in their statistics, but the people won't look into that particular thing, even though they sell that they say that uh, it's a complete failure.
Hmm.
So I okay, if people are working on a success on a project or anything to achieve the success, I think it's not going to work out. But if they are enjoying the process of making that particular thing, if they are completely involved in that particular thing, there is no tiring in that particular thing. They will be trying eventually more and more
Hmm.
till they are getting a particular thing they are want to achieve. So I think success is a byproduct, but failure is a essential fuel to keep up the momentum of that particular journey.
Absolutely. Yeah, I have a question in that case. Okay. Is there any time in your life that you have enjoyed like failures, like more than winning? You were so, like, so dedicated, or like, so excited to fail more or to do the next one and fail again.
Okay, I will say something from my personal note. Okay, this is a one we discussed in the previous podcast as well, but that didn't work out. So there is a phase, there is a phase that after engineering, there is a phase I consciously took a decision that I won't took a penny from my parents for the further things in my life, even it for studies, even for food, anything. So I went out for a after my engineering, I went out to study an add-on course in my life. So it cost around 60 to 50 to 60,000 rupees, and I told them, okay, I'm not taking any money from you. I want to study it by my own. I will do any part-time job and all. So I I preached a long speech that I'm gonna work it out, all those sort of things. But when we come to the reality, it's not the same we are facing. It's very easy to preach and easy to do things. Okay, till that date, I am I would hit with the reality that I am a very privileged kid in my life. Throughout my life, getting a job is not a very easy thing. So I used to I struggle for 2 weeks or 3 weeks to get a job, because I visited more than 100 shops for in different malls for one job. After that, I getting that job, no, I felt and that 2 weeks in my life I had a very dark space, because I don't want to take money from my father and parents anything. It's not nothing like that. It's a very egoistic mentality of man, but I felt it, it's very personal, and it's very good for me. And so at that phase, I felt it okay. It's a thing that I have to go through in my early phase of my career. That gives me there is a lot of failures that happened in that throughout that journey, not from that 2 weeks, but all the entire initial phase of my career. Uh, Even from the job I am standing right now, it's for job I am starting working right now, but that journey is not so easy for me unless I didn't have that courage to face that failure. No, the failure
Hmm.
constantly hitting failure in all sort of terms.
Yeah. Awesome.
Mm,
Why I ask that, because most of the time when we hear like when we see or like watch some people speak or like talk about failures, I think most of us have listened to most of that things. But I'll add up one more thing. There have been different phases of my life where I also like felt failing more exciting. Even right now, I chose to fail different, like at different things. I chose this phase of my life to fail at things. I give my permission to that. I'll come to that question, but before again, around 1.5 years ago, I went for surfing classes. Okay, like that
mm,
surfing, right? Like that board and you
mm,
stand, right? So I was at Varkala. I was surfing. I surfed for around like 8 days, 9 days straight, every day. But that is during surfing. The first day of surfing, I realized how addictive it is basically to fail. Like surfing,
mm,
you try to stand up, you fail, plop, like your head hit, your body hit, it pains. But every single time it gave, like every single big failures, every single big hits on my back, on my front, that gave me more energy to like to stand up. Okay, like it was so
mm, mm,
exciting. Like I was waiting for the next fail. I was enjoying. Like after a period, after 2 3 days, I was getting good at that. Like I started to stand up and all that. But the depth of the failures, as you learn something, you go to more depths of the water, right? So that started like big waves and big failures, big hits. That actually made me realize, okay, failing is actually addictive if you choose to like to get up and to fail more again, right? So that is one realization I had that day.
mm,
But even after listening to your answers, okay, like you choose to fail, the question I want to ask is, when we choose to fail, what gives you the guts to choose that?
what gives guts to choose failure is the past failures. Obviously, the past failures which will give you an insight to how to overcome if any failures comes on your way. Because it not only helps to choose the failure, but also it will helps you to know how much you are capable of. You know the path. It's something like it's a something like you're discovering a different place. In the first time of failure, maybe somebody will guide you to the path and to come out of that particular thing. But once you come out of that particular way, you will remember the way how to come out, and how can you get out of that particular thing, no? So it's only the failures which helps you come out of the choose failure as well, and to come out of the failures. So in order to do that, you should hit failures at the very young age. Because when you are hitting failure in the very maybe after 30s and 40s, there will be a lot of crises you want to overcome. Maybe you will be covered with a lot of responsibilities as well. So not only you have to take care of yourself, and also you have to take care of the people who are dependent on yourself, so on you. So that's a very bad thing to happen in our life. So choose feel free to be fail in your life. And there is a mindset people are having in their life, that I don't want to fail in my life. I don't want to be a failure. I always seek for success. Okay, you seek for success, but be open for failure as well.
Yeah.
I'm working in sales, no? There is one manager. He used to give insights to me in all the break times, means all the bad times in my failure. So, uh, and when I joined the very first day, he gives an induction, and he gives all sort of the market knowledge, and this is the thing you are going. And we went for a drive at 7 to 8 in between in throughout the Ernakulam, and he shows the market areas, and we have to focus this is all sort of thing. When I'm getting out of the car, he tell me, welcome to the sales, and be ready for the heartbreaks.
Yeah.
That's I don't forget that part, that particular statement he gives. Means I felt, okay, why you say that? Because you can't means maybe you will be having 100% trust on particular client, and that won't work out, that won't turn out, that won't convert. The very next day he will be a stranger for you. it's business, and no assurance that they can give that you will convert that particular lead. So if you're working for a lead or a client for a past 1 year or 6 months or 3 months, whatever it is, that won't be converted, or that won't be, that you lose that client in a very split second.
Yeah.
So that will give a heartbreak. That will, okay, you feel that your effort and your time and all sort of things you are invested over there is useless. But it's not useless, because it gives you eventually to work on other clients as well, and to know that, okay, no, this also will happen with the other client as well.
Yeah.
And you'll eventually learn that particular process, and that learning process is a takeaway from that failure.
Awesome. Awesome. So what about you, Asnata?
Like this all failures, no, that's a lesson for our life. And like I said earlier, it will let us go through the metamorphosis period. So whenever we are facing this failures, we are ready to fail more, and we are ready to go, we are ready to, or we will clear the way where we want to. So I'm always ready to fail, even if it is hard to. That time will also go, and we will definitely reach wherever we want. So like all, I'm also seeking for failures, then only we can be a great human being, or we can we can accept any situations. We won't be scattered, or we won't be disturbed at any moment. We will somehow face that moment if we go through a lot of failures.
Awesome. When I was a child, I was small. I don't know, I think maybe like 6 or 7 years old. I had this uncle of mine. He was a badminton player. I think he still do play occasionally, but he was seriously playing badminton back then. He told me, like we were sitting at my like old home, and there was this small cousin of mine who fell down, and this guy was like giving me, like asking me like, what sports do you play? You play like football, play badminton. This, like he pushed people to play badminton. So that was the start. And I remember he saying me, like once, I told him I have like I was very obese, very fat at that time. So I remember he saying me like, you see that like this cousin of mine sitting, he was a baby sitting there. He's not walking. Like he's not like he or she, like he's not walking. But the moment he start to walk, he trips down, he fall down. And when he's falling down, when he's like, he's tripping down, that shows he's trying to walk. But if he's still sitting there all the time, he will be like feeling, okay, I'm at comfort and everything. He might be feeling like a winner, but he's not at all trying. He's not at all going somewhere or like bringing somewhere. That is like the first time I like, maybe I think when I retrospect into my life, I realized, okay, this was one among the few inputs or like many inputs that I've received on like, as a great lesson in my life from a great person. That was one thing. Another thing that I realized, like, I would say like, maybe in my teens, late teens, was that again, uh, even if I fail, it is, if I don't get up and I don't, go for the next failure or the next try, nobody stops for me, or like they just, you know, dust their like ass and just they just move on. I was stuck at that place. So that made me realize how essential it is to get up from wherever I was, like however it was. Okay, just cry, like swipe your tears, and just go on. Take one step. Maybe in the next step you'll cry less. You'll swipe again more, and then go again. So that was like one thing that gave me the guts. Okay, yes, go. Like maybe it's the failure. Then again, coming to the surf story, that gave me more excitement to feel. It's like, okay, like failure is good. Only the excitement I got after like every time I after like it might take like 10, 15, 20 like fails to get up once on a surfing board. So it was that lesson. There are different things that taught me. So I have one more question again, because the thing is, like most of the people who might like who are listening to this podcast, if they have reached here, might be dreamers. Okay, most of the people, and some of the people might be even doers, trying to be doers, but still there might be like a lot of doubt they have in their mind, thinking of, okay, what will I fail, like how will I fail, how will I convince these people, what will they take, and all that, like a lot of self doubt and All this thing will be there in their mind. So when I look at the panel over here, like Azhar or like Asnata, or to an extent me as well, you guys have like failed in a lot of different things, standing up for yourself. Like, if just as Azhar said, he chose to not ask for money from his parents after graduating. Asnata, you are working in a company right now, and most of the people at your age, especially from our community, doesn't do that. And that also take a lot of effort and a lot of struggle and a lot of will and like a lot of failures in many areas of life to succeed at something. So, what is that one thing that you have learned about, uh, feeling for yourself for doing better in life?
Okay, I will go first for that question. The biggest learning from all my failure is that the understanding about the thing is that you are the only person is there for you. Nobody is gonna come to run for you. Nobody is doing anything for you. Maybe they'll be a cheerleader, they'll give a helping hand and all sort of thing. But if you are not getting up from your failures, or if you're down and one at one point, if you are not making an effort to get out from that particular thing or get up from that particular space, nothing will happen. And that's a bloody frank retrospection that I had in my life, because nobody is caring about the other people, because we can't complain about it, that as well, because they also have their own life journey in this world. So they are also in the race of getting their career as well, their happiness as well. So we can't complain other people is not helping me to get out, get reach there, or to do for me anything. So and that's a useless statement or a useless complaint about others as well. So I think the biggest learning about that about failure, it's you other for you.
Nobody cares you as much as
Nobody.
you do.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
okay.
nobody value as much as your dreams. They maybe for you, for others your dream is small, a tiny one, but it's your responsibility to show the density or the gravity of that
Mm.
dream, and how much bigger for you, how much valuable for you. It's your responsibility. So that's a thing I learned about failure. And also I respect the category who I respect the category who fails but getting up from the failures. If failing is a normal process that happens in that any process you are seeking for your passion, anything, career, anything, you will met with failure at any point of time. Maybe it depend upon the circumstances when you are reaching that point of failure. But if you are not getting up from that failure, it's your fault. Failing is not a bad thing to happen, but getting up from that failure, you are being in that comfort zone of failure. That failure gives a comfort space for you to what to seek sympathy, and to seek others to do to get out from your that particular space. It's not a thing. It's your responsibility to get out and run. Nobody is there. So
Yeah.
I have huge respect for the people who are getting out of that failure,
Awesome.
trying to getting at least.
Awesome. Come on, Asnata.
Like, I think all are afraid to fail. You know why? All think what others is going to think about me if I fail. Like, I think in 10th standard we have studied a story about a Chevyakov in English. I don't know you people had that story or not. Like, this person is always thinking about the same incident for long time. Like, he's having a sneeze at the theater, and this mucosa went out to another person, and he's always worried about that thing. That is
Mm.
the story he used to think about, that. Like, that was a story like that. If we fail, you just admit that yes, I failed. Next thing, you want to think about how to get rid of that, or how we can get up from there and not to happen it again. Like that, if you fail, that's fail. That's a thing. No need to think about it more, and
Mm.
nobody is going to care about that. So failure is something you have to admit and you have to get up from there like that. So come again the question I
Yeah,
forgot.
I think you answered that. I think you answered that question really well.
There is one thing I want to add. Actually, the failure is also associated with the problems as well. How you handling that problem, and how you. So there is a one incident from my personal life. How my father molded me as a person. As okay, once I went out with my car, our car, and I met with an accident. Actually, and I called my father and told that I met with an accident. It's a very big accident and car crashed. And usually I expect my parents to be scold at me, all sort of things. And the moment I called him and he asked me, what's next? What's the next thing you're going to do? And
Hmm.
it's a very big insight I got from my father, because okay, everything happened. You can he used to say that everything happened is happened, we can't change it. So okay, you can retrospect, or you can analyze that failure or problem later. And at that very moment, you just think about the what's the next step you can take from that. You don't have time to waste, and you don't have to, okay, I met with this problem, and you just take the next step. Be in a comfort zone, be in a very comfortable space, and then you analyze the failure.
Hmm. Yeah. You know, this movie is there, right? Sudani from Nigeria.
Mm.
In
Yeah.
that Saubin, there is this one dialogue Saubin is saying, right? You have that feeling, right? Even if it's like 90 plus minute, that, you know,
Mm.
before that whistle, that one goal you'll score and your team will win and all that.
Mm.
I think that's the same thing that I have learned from failures. That is something that I've taken from that movie, as from my life, from my failures, as well as from sports. Because, you know, even now, back then, now it's less, but back then I used to play a lot of sports. And that is like one thing. You just have to be hopeful even in your failures. Like, you know, even if a team is winning, there is always a takeaway, and you just have to be hopeful that, okay, there is the next game. You just have to take in a sportsman spirit, like Azhar said, like, okay, you failed. What next? The next game. This is again, you know, like I just want to add upon, like, last 2 3 years, Liverpool were playing really well. They had the first season, like, under, like, I think like the couple of seasons after the season where they played Champions League final, they played really well. They lost Premier League to City by, you know, few points. And, you know, even like in those seasons where they were dominating all over Europe with their pressuring, with their pressing and all that, after every game, in the conferences, in the press conferences, every time when the players were asked, okay, like even after winning, even after losing, what is it? It's like, okay, it's the next game. Okay, we won. The next game. It's the next game. So every time I was like focusing, like, you know, the captain is saying, the players are saying, the mindset they have built on is like, okay, we have win, like we won, we failed. Okay, it's done. The chapter is closed. Next, like the next game, the next game. They enjoy that. They accept that. They just move on. Okay. Now I have one more question. I think the final of the questions, maybe the last question. How much of your failures, like especially for all the passion followers, the dreamers, the doers over here, how much of, because again, like, you know, I'm asking this question because it is not easy for everyone to basically, you know, fail at their own cost, or take that guts to choose to fail at, you know, maybe at their job, or their passion, at their career, at their relationships, or whatever. They don't have an option most of the time, even though, like, you know, they might be afraid to take that option because of multiple reasons, right? So I believe that you have to be selfish enough basically to, uh, ideally do a lot of things and to fail as well. So how much of your failures have you made, like how much of your failures have made you more selfish?
I believe every human being is selfish. I think everything you are doing in this world, every act you are doing in your life, it's out of selfishness. So when you uh, just observe your activities, day-to-day activities, if you are loving your parents, it's an act of selfishness, because you want them to love you back.
Hmm.
Actually, the process is happening because of you need love in your life. You need something unconditional, or something uh, constant in your life. That's why you are looking forward for that particular thing. So every act is coming out of selfishness. And also uh, choosing selfishness in a very positive way, because there is a lot of things that can't be achieved without any selfish act in our life. But making sure that it is not hurting somebody is
Hmm.
uh, very good thing to do. Maybe that is a very graceful thing to do. uh, there is one interview of Shyama Prasad. I used to tell this line to everybody, because if you want to live your life according to your way, and if you want to pursue your passion, and to please everybody is not a happy thing to do. Because if you something like, it's a torturous process we have to go through, because we have to keep ourselves happy, and we have to keep others as happy as well. It's not a easy process to balance the both.
Hmm.
But somehow we need to, if a person who are committed to only to the dreams, if you achieve that particular dreams, and if you achieve that particular passion, if you reach the particular epitome, if nobody is there to see that success, or if nobody is there to share that happiness that you're enjoying that thing particular, I felt it's so worthless. So somehow we need to balance the both. And
Yeah.
also, yeah, there will be a mutual loss for everything. So we need to accept that also associating to the failure, because we failed to make happy of that particular point about that parents, or your relatives, or closed ones in the relationship. But it's for something you gained, that should be harmless.
Yeah.
For me, that should be harmless.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Come on, Asnanta.
The same thing as I said, without being selfish, we cannot follow our dreams. We cannot fail and win and all. I'm going through such a phase. I'm experienced that now, being selfishness by myself and my surroundings also. So what we can do is that just accept that and make sure it is not hurting others. Yeah.
Absolutely. I can relate to what Asnata said. Even I'm in such a phase where I'm trying to be more selfish, because until and unless that is something that I've learned from, the failures as well. Like, coming to the question, I think failures make you more grounded as well as more selfish. Like, that gives you, like, okay, that gives you that, like, if you're so into that, like, that will give you that extra dose of energy, or like that extra source of excitement to go beyond your dreams again, whatever happens. That what else, like Dwashi we say, right? That's something.
Mm.
And also, that selfishness, as I say, obviously I believe good selfishness is important, as I said, and that is where being selfish is, or like, taking care of yourself is not really about just looking at yourself. It's also about looking after and making sure that everything around you and related to you is also taken care of as well, because ultimately at the end of the day, that really matters, right? It's home
Okay.
that we come to at the end of the day.
I want to add something very which happened to in my life as a real incident. It happened yesterday. Okay, I started creating podcast as a passion. Okay, for the last 8 months, I have been doing podcasting for last 8 months. But the thing is, as I'm working, I don't have a time apart from this thing.
Hmm.
Maybe I'm working from 9 to 6, and I am only having the time after 6 to 10 or 6 to 12 to do these all activities. For that, for following my passion, or following cater my passion, I sacrificed the daily meetings and the partying with my friends and all sorts of stuff. Yesterday, I met a bunch of friends that we used to hang out on a daily basis, or a weekly basis. And he said that it's been 10 months we met.
Hmm.
So on that point, I felt it's as same as that I have sacrificed that s- thing for my passion. So, and they also understand. I make them understand this is a thing why I'm not coming to meet you, because I can't balance both in some other extent. So there is a lot of I'm a very amateur in this content creation, so I have to learn my own. If I if I quit my job and I start making content creation, nobody is there to feed me and not feed my family. So this is a thing I'm trying to bring a balance for all sort of stuff. So, and they also understand in a particular aspect as well. So for if we look in that particular problem as in a long or in a, out of that context, and they will feel that I'm very selfish to myself. So but anything is a selfishness for good,
Hmm.
and they're very happy that I'm growing or I'm doing something I'm very passionate about.
Yeah, awesome. So, is there anything that you want to add upon that, Asmita, like as a closing note?
Yes, I want to add one thing like parents who can teach a lot of things to children, like they are the first teachers, no? So, in our scenario, I mean, our generation and our old generation also, all are making kids afraid of failures. You study well, else you will fail.
Hmm.
You should win the race, else you will fail. And everyone is making afraid of failures. Apart from that, let them accept the failure and wake up from there and give the energy. And failure is also a part of life. Then these kids will shine in the life for
Yeah,
sure.
powerful people come from powerful places.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Yeah, there is one thing, as a like as an ending, I want to add up. If there is this one thing that I have learned from the nature, related to relationships, life, career, passion, whatever it is in life, that is, in nature, if you look at it, whatever is gone, it comes back to it. Okay, but for that to happen, like it's a cycle. Everything is a cyclic thing that is happening. Energy can either be created or not be destroyed, right? Different forms, right? The same way, if you want to gain something, you have to give something, but later on that gets back to you. Like you have to sacrifice something to gain something, but eventually what you sacrificed will get back to you as well in different forms. This is what I have learned. So if you are someone who is again passionate enough to, who's failing right now, who's trying right now, who's winning right now, whoever it is, don't be afraid of failures, just keep going, isn't it? And maybe one day it'll all make sense and you'll be so happy that you did that as well. So if you have listened till now or watched till now, we are so grateful for that. We don't know how it was done. So thank you so much for listening, for watching. See you all next week. Until then, take care and have fun. Happy growing.